I know I may have said this many times, but there is something truly to appreciate about this niche. Every single time I've ever had the honor to have this conversation with people every night, they come together, they show so much love and support for the videos that I create, and that really speaks volumes to my heart. So it wouldn't be me if I didn't start off this conversation tonight by simply saying thank you. Thank you for making the premiere of Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires and the Worlds Collide tour from last summer so special. Thank you for making the premiere of Camp Rock 3 just the other evening so special for the people who have the chance to be a part of it, which was truly something special to all of their hearts that I know will hold a special place in their heart for many years to come because we are just 48 hours away and the countdown is on to the premiere of Camp Rock 3, which is something I never thought 15 years ago when I was watching the originals that I would ever have the chance to be a part of. And I got the chance to be a part of that really because millions of people believed in me from the very first video that I ever created some time ago. Many moons ago, I came up with this crazy idea. How cool would it be to create a Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel, launch it from my home, and see where it would take me, see what would become of it. It was something I took a chance on because it was really a hit or miss for me because I didn't know how popular Descendants of Zombies was. I just thought it was the coolest story I'd ever bear witness to, and I wanted to give it more of a chance than probably anybody else ever did. So I invested all of my time, all of my creative energy, and all of my money, forgetting about the money aspect of it, but I invested all of my money behind a YouTube channel, which I never knew was going to go big or go home. And you guys showed so much love and support for every video that I ever created because it was a huge chance for me to take. And you guys made me one of the most noticeable and one of the most famous voices in the history of Descendants of Zombies to ever talk about this story. Simply because each time I told this story, I told it differently. And I had a different perspective to take away from this story and a level of appreciation unlike anybody who may have ever attempted, and I say attempted very lightly, because that's all they ever seem to do, to talk about Descendants and Zombies, because there is a level of appreciation not only to have for the story, but to also have for your audience. And you have to maintain that appreciation for your audience for the years that you will do it. I've been doing this for over 10 years, a very long time, longer than many of you have perhaps been alive. I've been on the radio and I've been on YouTube creating content for various different niches. But I have never come upon a niche that was incredibly supportive of all the stories that I would share, all the opinions I may have had, every crazy theory or prediction I may have kind of given you guys. I've never kind of come upon something as powerful as this. And if it was something that I could live through all over again and have the chance to go back in time, if I could rewind time and kind of relive one experience, it would have to be this. Really having a chance to watch your favorites grow up and become the phenomenons they seemingly would become from out of nowhere just as fast as we could snap our fingers. Names like Kylie Cantrell, Ruby Rose Turner, Malia Baker, and now Liamani Segura, who is really at the forefront to take this story and these franchises to places they have never gone before. Because who else has starred in two franchises back to back seemingly and made them an overnight success story? Liamani Segura is the first person to be able to say to do this, and she's been able to do this because of really all of you, because you saw potential in her from the very first moment you ever laid eyes on her. And I will give her a profound amount of credit where credit is due, because every single time I've seen potential behind somebody, I've gotten behind them myself and I've shown them so much love and support to push them further. I wanted to push them further out into the algorithm, which are pretty much all of you, because I believe they deserve more of a chance than ever before. I love how she's been right there to promote everything for Descendants in Camp Rock simply because she's believed in it. Because we've had many people who have been involved with projects such as Camp Rock in previous years, in previous generations and or decades that really have never been supportive of the dream that people had for a franchise like Camp Rock because they never imagined that it would ever have had a chance of becoming a trilogy. And now it follows suit along the lines of High School Musical and other successful franchises that have been taken to places that we never ever imagined would ever have the chance to go to simply because of all of you. 15 years ago, I never imagined that Camp Rock would have ever had a chance of becoming a trilogy because I thought they were going to leave it at just two movies and this one was going to be a duology. But it would continue to follow suit. It would follow in the same lines as High School Musical and obviously Descendants because so many people drew inspiration from what these characters and the people who brought these characters to life and told their stories for the first time ever all the way back to 2008. There were so many people who just believed in these stories and they just wanted to be a part of these stories, myself included, because I was always a Disney addict. I was always a Disney adult. I was always a Disney fan, and I could never seem to get enough of it. One of the biggest reasons why I subscribed to Disney Plus was just so I could watch Descendants anytime I wanted, whenever I wanted, wherever I was, whatever I may have been going through. I just wanted to watch Descendants, and I had the chance to because you were what led me to discovering the passion and just how powerful behind the magic that Descendants always possessed. Because there was always some kind of incredible magic to be a part of and to have the chance to experience when it came to Descendants because of the story that Mal may have represented, the story that Red told not so shortly after. And there were always people who drew so much inspiration, incredible strength, and incentive from what these characters represented, because many of the characters represented empowerment. They were in phenomenal shape and they were ready to take over the world and really take on the world in ways that members of other franchises, such as Camp Rock, may have never had the chance to from back in the day. And then we fast forward to this generation, take a look at 2026, and more Disney girls are representing empowerment. More Disney girls are signing up for gyms, getting in the best shape of their life. They've taken on responsibilities in life and they've really spread a message of kindness and incentive to encourage people that the same exact dream they may have had 15, 20 years ago can happen for them. They can get in the same kind of shape. They can feel stronger about what they have lying in front of their futures because for many of us, we don't seem to know what the future has in store. Somebody who I had a profound amount of respect for years ago was always Demi Lovato because Demi Lovato really turned her life around and really turned her life around for the better. She stood up one day and she told the critics to back off because she was who she was and she was always going to be the person that she always wanted to be. So what Demi Lovato wanted to do was she wanted to get involved in combat sports. And there was even a conversation years ago how about Demi Lovato wanted to be a part of an actual UFC fight. And there were people who were actually supporting the theory. And I remember how Demi Lovato just wanted to be something different. She wanted to stand out for the obvious reasons: empowerment, encouragement. There was always something to really take away and really feel inspired about everything that Demi Lovato once was and everything that Demi Lovato yet had to become. And now we are going to see what she's really become because she's going to be offering insight to a brand new generation of camp rock stars who have made up this cast so phenomenally. And I took away tremendous amount of respect for Demi Lovato for everything that she offered to that story. Camp Rock will always be one of my favorite franchises. But if I had to choose between the two, either say Descendants or Camp Rock, I would definitely have to choose Descendants hands down for just how powerful of a franchise it was and how it managed to represent more than one different incentive. It managed to represent encouragement. Managed to represent hope. It managed to give people more of an opportunity to really outshine the critics they may be faced with because many people signed up for high school plays. Many people did sign up for gyms and sports teams because they drew an incredible amount of incentive away from everything these characters in these stories had represented. And I think that over the ages and throughout the generations, there have been more people who have fallen in love with Descendants, kind of introduced them to this concept for the first time ever, because they wanted to take something away from it. The only character who is not returning to reprise her role will be Alison Stoner, whom we are celebrating the 33rd birthday of today. And as I said her earlier, happy birthday, happy belated birthday, if you would, to Alison Stoner. She was somebody who I was particularly fond of from the original Camp Rock movies, and of course the Kingdom Hearts franchise, being the voice of Kairi, which is something I will never ever forget her for having done. I remember taking away so much inspiration from how Alison Stoner would take it upon herself to pick up a very detailed fitness regime to try to get herself back in shape, and she did such a phenomenal job. So much so that she was one of the reasons why I began picking up weights myself, invested in a brand new home gym, because I really believe there is more of an opportunity for us all to feel stronger because we began to feel empowered from what this new generation would go on to represent following its dramatic shift, because it seemed to shift away from just believing in your dreams and every hope that you may have ever had, becoming empowered yourself. Because what we saw people like Demi Lovato and Alison Stoner go through was a metamorphosis, and it turned them into very powerful people, very powerful versions of themselves that we all drew so much incentive and encouragement away from. And not only them, but people like Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus, who also were a part of that generation. I know this generation is very different from the generation that once was, but the generation of old kind of really paved the groundwork for what this generation will go on to become. And I think something we really need to take into consideration and really put into perspective is just how beautiful of music they're really writing at such young ages. Kylie Control is 21, Freya Sky is coming up on 17 years old, and they are writing such beautiful music, putting beautiful lyrics to beautiful melodies. And that's something that I can never give enough appreciation towards, where credit is obviously due, because as the old saying goes, where credit is due, you should show that credit and you should give them the credit and the respect they deserve. I have never seen somebody at just 17 years old write such beautiful music. Every single time I ever have the opportunity, I turn on a Freya Sky song. I'm probably sitting at home listening to Apple Music or iTunes, and up pops a Freya Sky song. And I listen to it from beginning to end because of the messages of songs like Golden Boy and Silent Treatment, because they are the reason why you call yourself a Skylight, why you call yourself a Freya Sky fan, because of just how powerful those songs are, for how often and more than enough you can relate to this song. And I think because you can relate to this song or the music that Freya Sky is releasing, that's what's always made you a dedicated Skyline. That's what's always made you a dedicated fan and supporter, a lover of Freya Sky. The same thing can be applied to the Freya Sky fans out there for forever and always, because there are more people falling in love with Freya Sky every single time that they ever have the opportunity to really find out who she is and really understand her for the person that she's become or has always wanted to be. We see this all the time in podcast interviews she does to promote her EP Stardust, to promote her second half of her tour, the Stars Align World Tour, which there are limited seating still available for. There aren't many of them, but I would encourage you that if you want to head out to one of these shows, you should try to get your hands on a ticket, because I promise you, you will never regret attending a Freya Sky show. I know they are smaller level shows from what the Worlds Collide Tour was, having seated 19 through 20,000 people. And so too is Kylie Control's first ever headline tour, which is only going to seat a maximum of probably 3,000 people in these small scale venues. But even though they are small scale venues, it is just one small step that becomes something so much bigger for people like Kylie and Freya. Because from the first moment you saw them live and in person and in concert at the Worlds Collide Tour, you felt inspired. You felt like you were a part of something that obviously made you feel connected to stories based off Wonderland or stories based off your favorite characters from Zombies and Seabrook. You felt like you were a part of a moment that you wished could have lasted for forever. And I say that we can really make these moments happen for more people because of how much they believed in them. There have been far too many people who have had to say goodbye relatively too soon, who have never wanted to let go because of how Disney has perceived the direction they should take these franchises in. And I've seen it being taken in an entirely different direction, because if it were left up to all of you, Descendants and Zombies will be the one and only franchises that kind of came together, created something special, and that would have a chance of lasting for forever. So I say let's do everything in our power. Let's come together and see what we can do about making these franchises have a chance at least of lasting for forever. Now, while every franchise has seen its dramatic conclusion, and I've loved how Disney has often referred to it as a dramatic conclusion, there is no foreseen conclusion on any horizon that you ever want to talk about when it comes to the futures of your favorites, because they are just becoming empowered. They are really discovering who they are, and what's allowed them to discover who they really are have really been all of us, and how forever supportive and how much in love we've been with their music, how much we believed in them, how much of a chance we wanted to take on them, because our favorite song was Silent Treatment, because it was one of the most relatable pieces of work that Freya Sky had ever released. It was really artwork. And then came London and Golden Boy. London was forever unreleased until Freya began performing it at some of her shows, and people just wanted the chance to have their story seen and heard in her music video for London, which they filmed during the UK shows. And I've often said thank you to London for making Freya Sky into the superstar and nothing short of the phenomenon she would go on to become, because there was just something about the electricity in every crowd in the UK, especially coming from London. And if you guys came out with so much love and support, you lit up the sky with so many cell phone flashlights and stories. I just want to say thank you so much, because even though it felt like you were just one cell phone flashlight that may have been lighting up the crowd, you guys deserve to be thanked, because your story deserved just as much of a chance of being seen and heard as millions of others were. I don't care how many comparisons we make to Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. We talk about the rigorous workouts she had to do to stay in shape for the Eras Tour, or how over the Eras Tour may have been because 10 million people in her mind never watched the TV show. The reason why Descendants of Zombies became a worldwide phenomenon and took the world by storm was precisely because of that reason. 10 million people watched the TV show. If I had the chance to sit in front of a camera for Disney and they filmed me doing an interview, I would always believe that there was always something special to take away from this niche. Every story you may have had the chance to experience, because I've always believed there has always been something so special to really value about this niche and forever and always appreciate. Because when you have the opportunity to sit in front of a camera, record your thoughts, share your theories and predictions about Descendants and Zombies, I really wish more people would kind of take themselves up the opportunity to do precisely that. Because you never know who you're going to leave feeling inspired, to feel more encouraged about their dreams, and forever realizing just how much closer they are to those dreams indefinitely. Because no matter how far away you seem to be out from your dreams, you are that much closer than perhaps you've ever wanted to realize about being that much closer to your dreams and every hope you've had for your unforeseeable future. Because as I've often said, the scariest thing about the future is this idea that we may never know what the future has in store, but all we have to do is just simply hold on and just really hope for the best. And that's why there's no better way of experiencing Descendants and Zombies than by having a chance of experiencing it together. I've always wanted to give people something more to believe in for how I could tell these stories differently. How I really believe that the sons and the daughters of these Disney heroes will have a greater legacy to fulfill and bigger shoes to fill, obviously, when we talk about Cinderella and Prince Charming, who we are honestly celebrating the passing away of because the original voice of Prince Charming from the 1950 classic, the original Cinderella that was first told back on February 5th, 1950. That was forever ago. We are celebrating the life of his legacy because the original voice of Prince Charming will never, ever be forgotten. But now in saying that, the live action portrayal of the Prince Charming character in Descendants was very beautifully done. I think there are no bigger shoes to fill or no greater upper responsibility that could be given to anybody, quite like the responsibility that was given to Malia Baker, who obviously had a lot of pressure riding on her shoulders, but she was able to shine through. She was able to shut out all the criticism she may have gone on to receive, but she also received a significant amount of praise and love from people who just were forever supportive of her because how people had been made to feel in the way of critics, because I've often said that everybody is a critic. That was never really any reflection ever to be intended to be given to either Kylie or Malia because of how their friendship may have turned out, because that happened behind closed doors, and the result of that was we were never there. So pretty much all we can do is forever and always speculate on how this friendship may have seemed to have been, but I think it's really been no reflection on who they are as people, and that's ultimately made them stronger in the end. Come out on the other side of every conversation feeling more powerful and more empowered than ever before. I think if there was ever an exemplification of empowerment, Descendants stands alone and really in a category of its own for how it represented empowerment in so many emphatic ways. So much so that it even encouraged me to become a stronger version of myself that I forever and always felt like, really because of all of you. For how I had the chance to relate to you in so many unimaginable ways that I know I only would have ever had the chance to really do because of all of you. I've always wanted the chance to create something special, and to also be a part of whatever it was that I was going to go on to create. I may have never had any idea that this show was ever going to amount to what it would go on to become with really thousands of subscribers, over 250,000 channel views. That's over 250,000 views. That happened in less than 2 years because of all of you. Over 43,000 channel view recommendations have happened this month alone because of all of you. And we are almost up to 250,000 channel views in its entirety, really because of all of you. You are the magic that makes everything happen for Descendants of Zombies. And I have never wanted any of you to ever forget that and always hold on to that and always remember that you are forever and always what made Descendants of Zombies so special. Having said this, I would love for you to be a part of this conversation, so don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, because there is always something special to feel inspired about, to always take away from every conversation, just as sure as I will come back before midnight tonight in the stroke of midnight to share my thoughts once again, and whatever it is we're going to talk about in relation to Descendants of Zombies. And that is a conversation that I would love for you more than anything in this lifetime to be a part of, because I know you share the same passions and same ideas for a future, the same perspective for a future, just like I do. And that's ultimately what's made us feel that much closer together and truly given us the opportunity to feel a part of something so special. So from my heart to yours, I would just simply like to say thank you for what's been an incredible opportunity on an incredible journey that I know that I will never forget any of you because of, and the journey in its entirety alone I will never forget because of how much it changed my life, because this was really a life-changing experience where I had the chance to not only sit here and talk about Descendants and Zombies, but really share my story with the world, which was something I was given the opportunity to do, really because of all of you. So thank you from my heart to yours. Having said this, thank you so very much for always having the time to have watched and appreciated all of these videos. And from my heart to yours, thank you so much for always having that very special place forever and always reserved for all things related to Descendants of Zombies, because that was the feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that made us feel that much closer together and ultimately made us the best of friends. And some of the most beautiful friendships of all time kind of just happened just as fast as we could snap our fingers. And if we could freeze time in a time capsule, these are the moments that I truly believe should have a chance at least of lasting forever. From my heart to yours, thank you so very much for always having chosen this YouTube channel and having made it your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel that may have ever been created. And from my heart to yours as always, thank you so much for having the time to have watched and appreciated all of these videos.